We are going to talk about yellow cards now. The most this weekend, 65 yellow cards given out, beating the record of 57 previously, 14 by Anthony Taylor in the Bournemouth-Chelsea game and 8 in the North London derby. Keith Hackett was watching on, the former head of the Premier League referees and a former Premier League referee himself. Good afternoon, Keith.
Good afternoon.
Especially with the follow-up yesterday with Jared Gillett, you wondered if there had been some kind of directive to start giving out more yellow cards, because it did, I mean, maybe it was just coincidental, but it did feel like, as Adam Smith of Bournemouth said, every tackle was resulting in a card.
Yeah, I think there was a clampdown. I think unannounced. It seemed odd that these referees were suddenly producing cards like confetti. You know, you expect a working relationship on a football field where there's mutual respect. But if referees are going to earn respect, I suggest that this is not the way to go about refereeing a football match.
No, I agree. I mean, man management and common sense seem to have gone completely out the window. And I don't know, I didn't see every single one of those bookings, but I can't imagine any game where that happens to the referee and that isn't violent, that isn't like the Battle of Santiago or something. The referee's got to look at himself and think, you know, I've lost control here. What on earth's going on that I've had to give so many cards?
I mean, you expect referees to proactively manage players, and that is an early intervention with a quiet word. What's wrong with running alongside a player and saying, look, you're coming into focus, just tone yourself down and watch your behaviour. Then if it's got to be public, where's the captain? We saw in Euros the use of the captain, the fact that only the captain could speak to the referee, and the Premier League decided to throw that out the window. And for me, that worked. I think it would have reduced the number of cards this weekend. But at the end of the day, we've just got to get referees to be a bit more human, to talk to players. You know, they don't have to be soft, but where's the warning? Where's that physical sort of approach?
You're right, but look at the consistency factor between Jared Gillett at the Chelsea Palace game, where the foul's committed on, it was Will Hughes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pushed over Cole Palmer as he's running into the box, but it isn't a second yellow.
Yeah.
Compared to yesterday when he gave 8 yellows. You know, there's no consistency.
And also, Keith, feeding
with
into
the same ref from game to game.
What you said, Keith, feeding into the fact that it was Anthony Taylor that gave all those cards out, and along with Michael Oliver, our two sort of senior top referees, it makes you think that this was him saying this is the way all these rookie refs should be refereeing games.
Well, I think that's the very sort of nub of the problem, and that is that at grassroots level, every time you get a yellow card, this 15 quid goes into the coffers of the FA. You know, you want at grassroots level and throughout the game, you want a good working relationship. You have to earn respect. This is not the way to get respect from players. And, you know, throwing a card in the air and pointing at the player from about 30 yards, where's the process of making the point to have that verbal interaction with a player rather than just flashcards like confetti? I mean, Anthony Taylor is a better referee than what I saw this weekend. I mean, it seems as though he's actually working to the advice and responsibility that Howard Webb is putting into his referees. Howard, you need to look at it and you need to sort it. The PFA, the LMA, the Premier League and the PGMOL, they need to get together to sort this out. Because I'll tell you one thing, last year it was about timing and we saw 12 minutes and 14 minutes. Did Anthony Taylor, in issuing 14 yellow cards and 1 to the technical area, did he add sufficient time onto the game? You know, these are the things that fans want. They want to watch the players express their skill sets, not the old referee in the middle flashing cards and just wanting to be the centre of attraction. I think it was poor weekend.
Off the back of that as well, Keith, the other knock-on effect, of course, is that a lot of those players who got picked up cards, they're one step closer to getting a ban after 5 yellows. So they're big players often that you won't be seeing forthcoming fixtures. That's not good for the Premier League. That's not good for selling tickets. That's not good for anybody. So I didn't know until I read your column today that the bar is a lot higher in many European countries where, in Europe, it's 3 yellow cards. They don't bandy yellow cards around, which means it's 3 that gets you a ban, not 5.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, what we don't want is to see players banned. We want to see a good working relationship which avoids a red card. Look, when I was the boss of the PGMOL, I'm going back some time now, we brought the average down from 5 to 3 on the basis that we want players to remain on the field of play. We wanted referees to understand the responsibility of not flashing cards, but actually having an interaction, a verbal interaction if need be, to actually calm things down, stop play if necessary, and just quieten things down generally. But we just saw this weekend, like no management whatsoever, just the flashing of cards. And you're right. I mean, football's got to understand at the elite level, it's in the entertainment business, however we look at it. Would you get a singer on the theatre who has It's a Bad Note? Would the director come on and shuffle him off? And you've lost your main star.
Anthony Taylor's doing Hello Dolly at the moment. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Imelda Staunton gets a straight red.
But the thing, I mean, Keith, you mentioned the European Championships there and lauded the way it was. Anthony Taylor refereed in the European Championships, didn't he? So he knows.
Maybe he's working to a defense.
Well, he must be.
Interesting point from Mark, though. He says, surely 14 yellow cards is enough of a warning that you might get a yellow card. Why does the ref need to give any other warning? So he's making the point that if a ref starts giving out cards early, you know that it's going to be that kind of game, so you have to watch yourself.
But it's a better game when they keep the cards in their pocket. We all know that.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
Well,
Keith.
I mean...
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. I mean, the referees need to control themselves. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, the good referees are the ones that you don't see, but when you are seen, you're effective. Now, I think that issuing yellow cards like confetti is not being an effective man manager. They're not managing the game well. They're not managing themselves well. And I don't think football requires this level of yellow cards. On the message front, players at the highest level show passion and they also lose their head a bit. And that's when you come in off the ball and you just have a quiet word. You build a relationship up with players and you develop your own respect so that when, we have a situation of a referee going to a game, they know who the referee is and they know what type of referee he's going to be. And I managed the likes of Graham Poll, who was a bit quick with cards, Paul Durkin, who could talk to anybody, but was a very effective referee. Mark Elsie was a talker. So these referees set, if you like, a platform for others to follow. And Howard Webb himself wasn't a guy who brandished yellow cards like we've seen this weekend.
No.
So I don't know what's going off. I argued last week that I didn't think Rice should have been sent off. I argued on the basis of law. The ball wasn't static. The defending player wasn't 10 yards away, Rice. The ball was rolled towards him and he kicked it away. And the referee came along and gave a second yellow. That for me was a cheap yellow. You can argue, that's the laws of the game, but it's how you apply the laws.
Yeah.
And where's common sense? Rice shouldn't have gone. And it should have been handled much better with a proactive approach. Get in there and see what's going to happen. Use your cognitive skills to be able to see things before they happen.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll find out next weekend. If we see similar levels, we know it's a directive and wasn't just a bit of a outline, a bit of a flash in the pan. Thank you, Keith, as always. Thanks very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
That's good.
Keith Hackett there.
Kept mentioning confetti there. The cards handing out by confetti. Let's go to a wedding where they start flinging yellow cards at people.
I suppose at a referee's wedding, is that what they do? They just
cut up bits of yellow
and red card and just, yeah.
It's a good idea.
You'd have linos flags, wouldn't you, like an arch?
Oh, very nice.
The referee
idea,
walked through like the linos. Yeah,
I bet that's been done.
Yeah, I imagine it has been, yeah.
I don't know when.
Have you ever been? Here we go.
Have you ever been
to an assistant referee's wedding? Been to a referee's wedding? That's pretty tenuous. The last half hour of the show. 03717 223344.
Hello, Paul. I was at Chris Kavanagh's wedding.
Tremendous evening.
Lovely canapes.
Beautiful spread. Marvellous evening. We did the old arch of assistant referees' flags. It was that. Yeah, that's right. Oops, upside your head. That was good. We did that. What would happen at I'll tell you what. More fun because what would happen at an official's wedding? What would go off? At the
whole thing would
the
be
lino and the referee's wedding.
They have to be given a whistle, blow the whistle to start it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and when you wanted all the guests to go home, it would be 3 blasts.
Halfway through that bit when they all go round to sign the register, everybody has an orange. We all go in there and you can have a moan at the vicar at that point, tell him what you've not been happy about. I don't see anybody at half time. I don't want to know what went on. You got that bit wrong in the service. Anyway, if you want to let your imagination run wild, talksport.com, text 81089.
Remember the best man warming up separately from everybody else before the wedding.
If the bride and groom haven't quite made up their mind, you've got subs. You've got subs there stretching, waiting to come on.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.